This video is brought to you in association with Funded Today. Funded Today helps you get more pledges for your Kickstarter and Indiegogo campaign with professional video and design. Links are in the video description below. Thank you. Let's get on with the show. Talkfunding Deep Dive. And here we are again with Hassan from Airodome. Hello, my friend.
Hello.
And we're just going to go straight into these series of 8 slides, Hassan, and really just talk about how you've really developed the product itself. I'm just on the first slide here, which is looking at the Indiegogo homepage and your launch. And it's gone really well for you with your Airodome personal atmosphere device. So I just encourage the talk funders and anyone from Indiegogo watching the video just to scroll down. And here we have our first slide, which is entitled Adds a Layer of Safety and Peace of Mind. And Hassan, can we just look at some of these here? I mean, you've got such, a thing like a silent fan and the unidirectional airflow. Can you just talk us through some of the elements here?
Sure. The basic principle of this device is that a fan basically pulls air through a filter media. The filter media is spec'd to exactly the same specs as a face mask would be. So it's got the same efficiency. It would do the work that normally your lungs are supposed to do of pulling the air and pushing it through the filter. So it just gets that air over the filter element and then just blows it through channels over the head in front of your face. And then as you exhale, the air passes out. This device is not hermetically sealed. So there are many ways how the air would just flow out of it, around the neck and, or back in this area. We've left areas where the air can just move out. So this is how the airflow works. Secondly, the polycarbonate sheet covers your entire face. So no part of your face is hidden. Even the hat, the top part of this device is made using a clear plastic. And so you're more or less visible through that part as well. So it's basically a transparent device. So facial recognition is not a problem. We're using a fan with ball bearings, which basically means less noise and longer life. And I have tried this device on an airplane. The noise of this fan is so little compared to the environment that you're probably not even going to notice that it's working. Easy breathing, since the airflow is taken care of by the fan, which by the way is powered by any USB-A source. So it could either be a power bank that you carry in your pocket or a front seat, a USB, a power source around you in an airplane, on a car. So it's, and why we did that, I want to speak a little bit about that is, if we put a battery on a device that we want to do in, very lightweight, there is a challenge. Number two, it takes away your freedom in terms of switching from one device to a wall socket to, your battery bank. So if we had put a battery on it, it would be heavier. A, B, if you run out of juice, if that battery is not fully charged, you would have to interrupt, but you would have to remove it and charge it before you could use again. In this case, you could just switch to another source and keep going. So if you have a long flight or if you have a long shift at work where you want to keep it on, you could switch the power source, and it keeps it keeps the weight low, it keeps the cost low, and we wanted to keep this device independent of the power source. USB-A is fairly universal, and you could get it from anywhere. So that's the power source. When we say optimized for travel, I think it's mostly got to do with the ease of putting it on and reclining on an aircraft or a train seat and being comfortable while doing that. The weight is about 10 ounces. It's about below 300 grams. We could not do it lighter than this. So one of our challenges were to keep the original design brief intact and then reduce the weight however possible. And so far, this is how far we have gone. I think in future iterations, we might be able to shave 10 or 15 grams here and there. Lastly, about the fogging issue. So we had two options. We could use an anti-fogging polycarbonate sheet, which works very well. It's a brilliant technology. However, we did not go for that because that adds significant cost. What we have tested is that when you exhale and the airflow is coming from the top down, it clears the fog. And that's why we call it an active defogging device. So if you put it on and you haven't powered up, don't be surprised, the screen might fog, will fog. But as soon as the airflow begins, it's like a car, it's like a windscreen in a car. Once the airflow is there, it defogs. And that works nicely on this. So these are basically the main features of the device.
Oh, that's a great explanation, Hassan. Thank you so much. And the idea of the fogging, and so now I'll get it, that it's like, it's okay. It's just going to be like the car window. I'll put the fan on and it's going to clear up. Let's move on to the next slide, which is really like a focus on the unidirectional airflow with effortless breathing and active defogging. And I just see here the unfiltered air, which we're all very aware of. And as you were saying in the video, there is concern over, we are all feeling vulnerable being out and about these days, and particularly in airports, etc. Can we really just talk a little bit about this slide, please?
Well, I've just basically described how the device works, so I don't want to go over that again, except for one point. When we designed the filter cartridge, which is over here on the top of the head, we were careful that once you have been in an environment where there are contaminants, you don't want to get in contact with the bad side of the mask or the part of filter element which may have accumulated the contaminants. So we have designed it in a way that if you want to remove it and if you want to touch it, your hand cannot touch the top side of the filter element. That's why we call it a filter cartridge. Basically, you can change the elements by disassembling the cartridge and putting in newer elements. But generally, when you're trying to move around, remove the cartridge, you will be protected. You will not touch the contaminated side of the filter. So to what I've already told you about the features, I think this is what I'd like to add.
Great, thank you for that clarification, Hassan. And just to say, is the filter, do they come supplied with different filters, or can we clean the filters, or how does the filter system work?
The initial idea was that you would, after you feel that the filter is, we cannot tell you how soon you should change the filter. It really depends on the environment, on the exposure, on the dust, on whatever is in the environment. So I think that you have to take a common sense approach to when you need to change the filter. But surely you need to change it if the airflow is somehow not as good as it's supposed to be. So our initial idea was that we were going to send out extra filter cartridges. Now, the filter cartridge is built in a way that if you send them out, especially by mail or by air, you would be shipping air. So that increases the cost. So what we have done is we are now shipping out one filter cartridge and 10 filter elements. So you could disassemble disassembly may be a big word, but you just take it apart and insert a new filter element and seal it again. So the filter cartridge is a plastic part. It is reusable. The filter element is a non-woven polypropylene part. It's like it's like a face mask. It's a leaf. It's just a piece of non-woven fabric. You remove it and you replace it. And we're shipping 10 filter elements with each cartridge now.
Oh, that's fantastic. Thank you for the clarification. Hassan, we'll just move on to the next slide now. And this one is basically looking at the comparison chart between the face mask, face shield, face and shield mask, and finally the Airodome, which has 5 happy, smiley faces.
Yeah, well, if you look at the Airodome, basically one way of describing this would be a face shield and a face mask with an added powered airflow. So luckily, we've been able to get the best from both and leave aside the disadvantages. So basically, you've got clarity. When you compare it with a face mask, the breathing effort is gone because a battery is doing that for you. So no extra breathing effort required. Your face is fully visible. You're not going to fog your glasses, as so many times I have to, face. And there are no straps. This is one part which I personally feel, if anybody who's worn a mask for maybe an hour and a half, my ears, I find it very irritating to have those straps there. So no straps. So when you compare the Airodome with face masks, you see we've got all the smiley faces here. When you come to a face shield, what you don't have in a face shield is you don't have powered airflow. And of course, you don't have defogging because you don't have that airflow. Of course, you could have a face shield which has anti-fogging. I don't come across them very often. So if you're comparing it with a face shield, you get powered airflow and you get no need to strap it to your head, which is very irritating. So it balances on your head. So this is how it compares to face masks and face shields. And we've put a comparison here, how it compares to the option of having both a face shield and a face mask on.
Thank you very much for going through the comparison chart. Now let's move on to the next slide, which is just really looking at photographs of your prototypes. And I just love a way, Hassan, you're clearly into product design and development and iterations. And this is just showing the Indiegogo and the Talkfunders how you've really evolved the design over time. Is there anything you'd like to say about these pictures?
Alan, basically, as is the case with any new product development, you can get to a working proof of concept prototype fairly quickly. But that's basically, it appears to you that you covered about 80% of the ground. But a working proof of concept prototype, in my opinion, is you're just 30% into the project. Because unless you can turn it into a manufacturable product, well, not unless, but from that point to the point where you turn it into a manufacturable product, there are many hidden challenges that you don't see when you don't see upfront when you start a project. So in our case, we had the prototype you can see myself wearing right on the slide here. This was there about 6 or 7 months ago, and it worked nicely, and the concept was working, the fogging, the airflow. So it kind of validated the concept, but we didn't want to go to crowdfunding with a concept or with a prototype unless we were ready to ship. We decided not to go ahead. So from that point to our current state where we have our first batch which is ready to go, which is over 500 pieces, and then if we hopefully have larger orders or we have to supply through distribution channels, we have all the tooling to do that. This has been a very exciting journey because there were constraints in terms of time, how quickly we wanted to do this. It's not every day that we do a device like that. And the design brief itself was pretty exciting and unique. So we've enjoyed doing this. We have learned quite a bit. We have learned things that we probably can apply to our future products, possibly even to the ones that we'd like to take to crowdfunding. So this has been a good, I'd say, entertaining and a journey which has given us quite a lot of value apart from the product itself.
Well, not only value for yourselves, but actually value for humanity, my friend. I mean, this is really important work that you're doing, to really counter the effects of the pandemic. And also you really are supporting the economy by encouraging people to go back into air travel again, etc. So, fair play to you, well done. I just find it like one design thing which I want to emphasize to the Talkfunders and the Indiegogo backers is that I thought it was so interesting whenever you were talking about having the external power supply, because that makes everything so much more flexible. Could you say just a bit about that, so that basically whenever you're moving around, you can basically just carry a power bank with you, or if you're sitting down in our buses here in the UK, we sometimes you have USB slots, which we can plug in. Is that right? Is that the sort of flexibility that you wanted in terms of power source?
Well, for us, the priority was to keep the product as lightweight as possible. And batteries tend to be heavy, even though it's maybe 120 grams, but try keeping 120 grams on your head. It can cause some fatigue. So we had this idea of having a battery pack or a chargeable battery pack that would come with the device, but you could carry it in your pocket as you would carry a power bank with it now. But we wanted to give the end user freedom to power this device. So it could be your power bank, it could be your second power bank, it could be the front seat in the bus you're traveling in, or it could be a stationary power output if you're at a desk job, or if you're at a reception counter. So we wanted that freedom. And one of the reasons we wanted that freedom was that it would also ensure that you have the device powered up without any interruption. If the battery is embedded in the device, once the battery is low, you would probably have to remove it, put it aside, set it aside to charge up. That was not looking like a very good prospect for a device like this, because I mean, I've been on flights, I've been on 14-hour flights, and I find that the best way to power a device like this would be through the front seat source or anywhere around you, a constant source and not a battery source.
Fantastic. I'm just looking now at the slide of from the prototype photographs with some of your team members. I'm just going on to the actual team members here. This is your core team. It's yourself as a founder, then you have an industrial designer and environmental engineer.
Yes, Alan. On a project like this, I think it was my idea, and as you call it, it's my brainchild. But a lot of work had to be done in terms of design for manufacture, in terms of the prototyping. So Amir has been very instrumental in doing that, putting these ideas together, because most of the time my input would be to define a goal in terms of a technical goal, or a goal in terms of comfort and ergonomics, and he would come up with the iterations and the final solution. So his role was key in this project. Semi is a brilliant environmental engineer. So in terms of filtration efficiency and how actually to have safe and clean air, his input has been invaluable. So has been very valuable. So this is the team. We're a small team. Of course, many other people have helped us through the process. Many other people have helped us with the tooling, with getting things up and running in good time, within our timelines. So, and I'm thankful to those.
Fantastic. And I think just to finish off our Talkfunding deep dive, I think it's great to get to the point now where you are ready to ship. And I'm just on that slide now saying you are ready to ship. In fact, you have there's a photograph of your Airodome boxes all set to be shipped worldwide. So well done to get to that stage ready. It's fantastic. And I'm just going to return to the homepage, at the top of the homepage of Indiegogo, and just look again at the Airodome personal atmosphere device. And I just want to scroll down just to look at the pricing again, and to really encourage the Indiegogos and the Talk funders to jump on the early bird, which is reduced. You actually got 36% off, and they're selling already. And also, if you scroll down further, the pack of 3 is proving popular, and the pack of 10 for maybe team members who are like a business person who is looking to equip their whole team with this device, with the Airodome device. Well, listen, Hassan, all I have to say is thank you very much. It's been a really insightful product for me to work through with you with the ultralight personal atmosphere device. So I'd just like to say thank you so much, Hassan. You're live on Indiegogo with the Airodome personal atmosphere device, and all the links will be in the description below. Thank you so much, my friend.
Thank you for having me here. It was a pleasure talking to you.